Season of Discovery is finally here, and today we are going to be looking at Shadow Priest. I am going to be going over everything you need to know to master it, from the new runes you're going to be getting, to what gear to get, and of course that new rotation. Before we do get started, please do click that subscribe button. It really helps me out and makes sure that I can still keep pumping out these videos for you guys to enjoy. If you are also looking for other players to play with or discuss Season of Discovery or retail, then do join my Discord, where we have a really thriving community of World of Warcraft players. If you're looking at what stat priority you're going to want in Season of Discovery, this is what I would follow. Spell hit being up first, and then spell power. We've got MP5 at number 3. This is quite literally mana per 5 seconds. Fourth on the list is going to be intellect, and last is going to be spirit, which is also going to help with your mana regeneration. If you're not sure what race to pick for Season of Discovery, if you are Alliance, I would say to go with Night Elf personally. At the start, you are going to get a spell called Star Shards. If you don't know, priests actually get extra spells depending on what race they play. Later on in the game, though, this spell isn't going to be as useful as it will be at the start. At the start, you can actually pretty much replace Mind Flay with your Star Shards. If you are looking at Horde, then I would personally choose Troll. Using their Berserking ability, which is going to increase your casting and attack speed depending on your health, etc. This can actually be paired by using your Shadow Word Death to actually injure yourself and get a lot more casting speed out of your racial. They are also going to get an ability called Shadow Guard, where the caster is surrounded by shadows. When a spell, melee or ranged attack hits the caster, the attacker will be struck for damage, and they can only be damaged every few seconds. This damage causes no threat. And FYI, it does actually have free charges and last 10 minutes. Of course, things may change later on in the phases of Season of Discovery. So at the end of the day, just pick whatever you want to play for your race. Looking at the exciting bit, which is, of course, the runes we're going to be using. First is going to be Void Plague. Now, putting it really simply with this one, it is another damage over time, just like your Shadow Word Pain. Of course, we can't have enough of that. Next up is Shadow Word Death, which you may be familiar with if you're watching this video. Does a lot of damage. It's kind of like a nuke attack, and it doesn't actually, if it doesn't kill them, then it's going to backfire and do some damage to you. When your enemy's health is low, you can use this to finish them off. Then we've got Homunculus, or however you pronounce that one, which summons 3 clones to attack your target, reducing their speed, power, and armor. And I'm pretty sure, I think each clone, one of them is using an axe, one of them is using like a sword, and one of them is using a mace. Honestly, this one sounds really cool, and even if it wasn't like the best in slot one, I would love to use this just because of how fun it sounds, but it is still the best one to use anyway. Thank God for that. Looking at the gear we can get, a lot of it is actually going to be bind on equip that we can use. So basically just run to the auction house and then, well, that's it. See you later. If, of course, you can actually afford anything in the auction house, we all know what Classic is like in comparison to retail. But yes, a lot of these items are actually BOE. We've got the Black Velvet Robes, the Mind Thrust Bracers, the Magician's Mantle, etc. The Lawkeeper's Ring is actually from getting Reputation with Warsong Gulch, Advisor's Ring if you're Horde, Lawkeeper's Ring if you're Alliance. Now, one other thing, if you go to Shadowfang Keep in Silverpine Forest, Aragul drops some really cool, I think, robes and a belt. And then there's a boss before that as well that also drops some really cool loot. So Shadowfang Keep is really good. And then a lot of it, you can just get BOEs from sort of wherever, really. Looking then at the talents we want to pick, this here is the build I would go with for starting off. So we've got 5 out of 5 points into Spirit Tap, giving you a 100% chance to gain a 100% bonus to your spirit after killing a target, which is going to be fantastic for mana regen. Your mana will also regenerate at 50% while casting. Then we've got Shadow Focus, which is we're going to reduce the target's chance to resist your shadow spells by 10%. 2 out of 2 into Improved Shadow Word Pain, increasing the duration of it for 6 seconds. Just 2 points into Shadow Affinity. This is on the left here on the second row, reducing the threat generated by your shadow spells by 16%. Then we've got Mind Flay. This is a really useful spell we're going to be using in our core rotation of the build, assaulting the target's mind with shadow energy, causing 75 damage over 3 seconds and slowing their movement speed. Last but not least, our final point going on to that 4th row here is in Shadow Weaving. Your shadow spells have a 20% chance to cause your target to be vulnerable to shadow damage. This vulnerability increases the shadow damage dealt to your target by 3% and lasts 15 seconds. Now, you may be thinking 3% doesn't sound like much. It does stack up to 5 times. Now, that's all well and good saying get these runes, do this, do that, but how are we actually going to discover them? Well, I am here to tell you. Looking first at Void Plague, you're going to want to obtain a Memory of Dark Purpose. Basically, if you're a human, it's going to drop from Goldtooth, that's the kobold in Elwyn Forest. Dwarves, it's going to drop from a leper gnome outside Nomagon and can be looted from a cache near Gibblewilt. If you're a night elf, it can be found all the way at the bottom of the Bannerfell Barrow Den, that's the Furbolg Cave, and you're going to get the last of the 4 boxes. It's where you get the last of the 4 boxes. Undead, it's going to drop from Gilgar, found far west in Tristful Glades, coordinates are 2548 on that one. And if you're a troll, it's going to drop from a Kultiris Sailor and Kultiris Marines in Juratar. So that is for the Void Plague Discovery rune. For Shadow Word Death, then, you're going to want the Prophecy of a King's Demise. If you are a human, it's in Westfall of Leprifus. Dwarves, it's from Mogrosh Enforcer in Loch Modan. Night Elf, you're going to have to interact with a glowing orb on a small island, and it's near the Dark Shore docks. Undead are going to have to loot a scroll on the table near Fool Ravenclaw in the top of the tower on Fenris Isle in Silverpine Forest. For trolls, then, you're going to want to dispel the Desert Mirage in the Barrens west of Ratchet, and it will instantly die and drop the rune. And to learn it, you are going to have 2 different meditation buffs active at once. Last but not least, with the Homincili, we're going to have to obtain the Prophecy of a Desecrated Citadel, and there's different ways to obtain this per race. For humans, it's going to drop from Defias mobs on Stonecairn Lake Island. For dwarves, it's Frostmane Seers and Frostmane Shadowcasters near Shimmer Ridge. For night elves, it's from the Rascal Sprite in the Fellrock Cave. Undead, it's from Scarlet Warriors and Scarlet Monastery near Solidon Farmstead, of course. And for trolls, it's from the Voodoo Trolls near Zalazane. And again, for that one, you are going to need 2 different meditation buffs active at once. So let's put it all together and see how we're actually going to do our rotation. It's going to be pretty damn simple with keeping Void Plague active at all times, and then secondly, keeping our Shadow Word Pain active at all times. Now, if the target you are DPSing against won't actually survive the duration of these damage over time spells, then don't bother, because the mana usage may actually not be worth it for that. Then we're going to use our Mind Blast. Then it's going to be Shadow Word Death. And if we have talented it, if you have used the build that I've given you, you will be. We're then going to use Mind Flay, and then it's going to be Smite as a last resort. Do be careful, though, with your Shadow Word Death. It is potent on that damage that can backfire, and it will literally kill you if you use it too soon. And that is everything you need to know as a Shadow Priest in Season of Discovery. Shadow Priest is going to be my class of choice, and I may even be streaming it here on my YouTube channel. So if you are looking for that, then make sure to watch out for when I'm live.